872. The record should reflect that Mr. Holmes is present with his attorney, and the prosecutors are present as well. Juror number 872 is back, and she's ready to go. I think she has a follow-up appointment at 6, but she should be able to make that appointment if we finish at 5 or so, which I'm anticipating we will do. Okay, let's bring the jury in, please. Please be seated, everyone. The record should reflect that the jury has joined us again. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good lunch, at least 23 of you. And the one of you, I appreciate your willingness to do this over the lunch hour and to continue. Let me ask the prosecution at this time to call its next witness.
Thank you, Judge. The people call Glenn Rotkovich.
For me, please, so that I can administer an oath. You solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, please be seated. Could you please state your full name for the record, and then please spell your first and last names?
Glenn Allen Rotkovich. First name is Glenn. Last is Rotkovich.
And did you say your middle name was Allen?
Yes, sir.
How do you spell that?
Allen.
Thank you. Mr. Edson, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
How are you employed?
I'm a firearms instructor and own a shooting range. Lead Valley Range.
Sorry, what is the name of your shooting range?
Lead Valley Range.
Where is that located?
East of Byers on US Highway 36, east of Denver.
How long have you owned the Lead Valley Range?
It's in its 8th year of operation.
What is your specific title in relation to the Lead Valley Range?
Managing member?
Do you own the Lead Valley Range?
Yes.
Do you have any employees?
Yes.
How many, roughly?
Paid employees 2. Staff that works it, which is family, another 5.
What is the Lead Valley Range?
It's a privately held outdoor shooting range that's basically a membership range. You have to be a member to use the facilities.
How would one become a member of the Lead Valley Range?
A couple of different ways. They can send me, go online, pull an application, and email it to me, come out and fill out an application, mail one, any number of ways that they could get it to us. And at that point in time, then that is reviewed, and they must make what we refer to as an orientation. after they paid their fees and in order to use the range. Nobody's allowed to use it that hasn't gone through orientation.
You said specifically that one way is people can email membership applications to you. Do
Yeah.
they actually go to you personally?
They end up to me personally. Most of them mail them to the email address of membership Lead Valley Range, but I'm the only one who answers that email.
Those who wish to become members of the Lead Valley Range, at some point, must their membership application process go through you?
Yes.
Those who wish to become members of the Lead Valley Range, must they, at some point, even if they come to you in person, must they fill out some sort of membership application?
Yes.
Those applications, do you keep them somehow within the course of your business?
The ones that physically join, we keep forever, as long as they're members and they're there. Most of the others, we keep them for a length of time. If they never join or anything, then eventually they're destroyed in about 6 months.
Specifically, I'm going to refer to membership applications that are done over the internet
Okay?
as opposed to face-to-face. Those type of membership information or membership applications, does your Lead Valley Range and you as the owner of Lead Valley Range, do you keep those applications in the ordinary course of business just like you described?
Yes, definitely.
Can someone become a member or otherwise participate in shooting activities at the Lead Valley Range without being a member?
Only on special events where we're doing we do an event like a pumpkin shoot every year, and we do allow non-members to show up on that day, but it's a controlled, specific use event, and that particular one is pistols only.
Okay. Roughly how many members would you have right now?
A little over 550.
I'm going to be directing your attention back to June of 2012 and the last part of June in 2012. Roughly how many members did you have during that time period?
Probably right around, probably about 450, 475.
I'm going to draw your attention specifically to the date of June 25th, 2012.
Okay.
Some foundational questions. First of all, were you still the owner of the Lead Valley Range on that date?
Yes.
Were you still the individual who reviewed all membership applications? Would that also include membership applications that occurred online?
Yes.
Just for kind of brief background, if one were to apply for membership of the Lead Valley Range online, how do they do that?
They can download the form from the website, fill it out, then in turn rescan it, whatever term you want to use, to put it back in email form and then send it to the address, and usually they all go to the membership address.
What is the normal course of the membership process when somebody applies online? Obviously, you don't see them face-to-face. What is the next step in the procedure once somebody fills out that form and sends it in?
I get it, print it, read it, and anything related to it on the email, print it out, then take that copy, put them on a list, and make a phone call to that person to say, I've got your information, you have questions for me, ask them some questions and stuff back and forth to get a feel for the person's general attitude, who they are, what they are. They then are assigned, if they're ready to join at that point in time, they're assigned to come to the next available orientation. And then they would come out at the orientation, if not before, meet with me and everybody else, with the staff, and go through orientation, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours of orientation. And when that's finished and all the paperwork and everything is done, then they can go through membership.
Your range, once somebody is a member, is there supervision associated with that?
There's somebody on property about 90% of the time when we're there during operating hours. Certain days, because they have access 7 days a week to be able to come and go when they want. They have a gate code. There are some days, Christmas, Easter, I'm going to be with my family, so there are some days where there wouldn't be as much supervision. There would be other days.
Okay. Final question on this line of topics is there some implementation at your facility where members only have the access to your range? You talked about it.
For stopping anybody else from
Yes,
coming in?
exactly.
Yeah, there's a lock gate on the front of the range, and it's fenced so that nobody has access without obviously committing trespass.
I'm going to refer you back to on or around June 25th, 2012. Did you receive any sort of membership application from an individual identifying themselves as James Holmes?
Yes, I did.
Describe that for us, if you would, please.
I got an email that came in with an attached membership form. Read the email like I do any of the others, print out the application form, looked at the application form to see if there was any inconsistencies in the form in terms of whether or not they answered the questions on whether or not they had the right to be around firearms, things to this effect, and whether they had signed it, initialed it in the proper spots to say that they were truthful in what they were doing. Read that and thought the only thing that was different than the norm in it was the signature tag, whatever you want to call it, by ending it with the word cheers.
Okay. You talked about the membership application itself and how you keep that in the ordinary course of business. What about emails that attach to that? Do you have a procedure where you keep those in the course of business?
Usually they stay on my computer until the person has joined, and at that point in time, they pretty much go away. If the person has joined, I'll delete them.
After July 20th of 2012, did you contact or were you otherwise contacted by law enforcement relating to the theater shooting?
I was told early in the morning by one of my staff and said, they called me early in the morning and said, wasn't that guy's name that you told us that you wanted to talk to before anything, James Holmes? And I said, yes. Why? They said, are you watching TV to see what's going on? I said, well, yeah, I just started seeing it. And they said, they say the shooter's James Holmes. And I immediately went to the applications and the emails to look it up, looked it up, and saw that it was the same, that certain things matched to make it right based on where they said the home was, where the apartment was and the mother, and immediately tried to call police to say, I have this, but couldn't get through till late that night.
At some point, did you turn over to law enforcement the documents that you had?
Yeah, the officer called me called me and asked me what I had and what I knew, and I told him what I had, told him what I read it to him and everything and why I thought it was it. And he said, okay, can we have access to it? And I said, fine, I'll forward it to you immediately as soon as this phone conversation's over, because I wasn't at my computer when I was talking to him.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach the witness, please?
Yes,
Judge, I have shown this to defense already.
okay.
Sir, I have handed you what's been previously marked. There's two exhibits there. One is People's Exhibit 539, and the second one is People's Exhibit 539A.
Yes.
Can you take a look at both of those documents?
Yeah.
Do you recognize those documents?
Yeah, they're their membership information form that they fill out to join the range, and the document behind it is the email that was sent to me that I forwarded to the police officer.
So specific for record purposes here in court, People's Exhibit 539, the first one on top there, what is that?
That is the membership form that's filled out in order to join the range, filled out by Mr. Holmes.
That particular document, is that a document that you kept in the regular course of business as the owner of Lead Valley Range?
Yes.
Does that appear to be the same or a similar document that you forwarded to law enforcement as you just previously described?
Yeah, it's identical. Mhm.
Does there appear to be any sort of changes to that document or anything that is not as you recall that document when you turned it over to law enforcement?
No changes.
Turning your attention to People's Exhibit 539A, that's the second document there. I think you referred to it as an email. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is, yeah.
That email, does it appear to be the same or similar email that you referred to in your testimony just recently?
It's the same email except for, this is the forward email, which
Okay.
I've never seen the forwarding before, but okay.
That particular email, was it sent to you or to the membership department of Lead Valley Range?
No, it was sent to membership at Lead Valley Range is where it came from. It's where I got it.
Is that your email address for the Lead Valley Range?
Yes, that's the one I answer when it comes to membership.
Okay. And who is that email purported to be from?
The email is from James, which you look up in the top. By the email, you can't do it, but it says it came from James. And it was the one that had the attachment of the membership in front of it, attached to it.
Final question on People's Exhibit 539A, the email. What email is purportedly associated with the one sending it to you?
James Holmes at, Malto Disher, D-S-H-E-R lock B hotmail.com. That's who it came from.
Judge, at this time, I would move for admission of People's Exhibit 539 and 539A.
Is there any objection?
No.
All right, without objection, Exhibits P-TR-539 and P-TR-539A are admitted and may be published.
Thank you, Judge. If I could please have People's Exhibit 539. Sir, we have on the large screen just off your right shoulder there, People's Exhibit 539, a little bit hard to read. Fair to say that the document you have in your hand, is that an easier copy to read, the one you have in your hand?
Oh, yeah, much easier.
All right. Just in general, just to describe for the jury what we're looking at here.
The general information that we ask for membership, which is their name, address, where they're from, what they are, their email, so we can contact them, who they are and when they were born, to know that they have an age to be around firearms, and their sex in general, so we know who we're talking to. How they found us, for our obvious reasons. Then in the general section there, we have a list of questions basically of whether or not they have the ability to be around firearms based on law to be there. And then the last is emergency contact. The third group of things is emergency contact that we have should somebody get injured or hurt, so that we have somebody else to contact to tell somebody's going to the hospital. And then a signature at the bottom below a line that says that all of the information they've given us is correct and lawful.
What is the date of that membership document?
6/25/12.
And again, who is the personal information related to that document?
James Holmes.
What is a phone number associated with that information?
Home phone 858-449-7348.
Simply because someone fills out a membership application like this, does that automatically give them membership to your range?
No.
If I could please have People's Exhibit 539A. Again, this is pretty self-explanatory, but does this appear to be the email, at least the bottom part, from individual purportedly being James Holmes to the membership at leadvalleyrange.com?
Yes.
And again, this is the email that you ultimately forwarded to law enforcement, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that what the top portion of this
Yes,
email is related
right.
to?
Mhm.
All right. Thank you. To the best of your knowledge, did Mr. Holmes become a member of your Lead Valley Range?
No, he did not.
Describe any efforts you made to try and contact Mr. Holmes.
Normal procedure, like I said, once I've got this, it's there. Usually within the time I get an email, within 24 hours, I call them and say, this is Glenn of Lead Valley. You still interested? Do you have questions for us? Whatever, there's things to do. So I want a conversation between them to learn a little bit about the personality, who the person is, and talk to them. If for some reason I have to leave a message, I don't get the person, they usually call back in less than 24 hours. Reason being is there's a shortage of ranges in the metropolitan area to shoot. So when somebody gets a call back from me, they usually mean that they know that means that there's availability for them to join, and I usually get immediate phone calls back. I did not get an immediate phone call back. I, in fact, called over a period of about 3 days. I called about 3 times, and each time left a message and never got a a message back at all, which is part of what made me think it was strange.
Did you make any additional attempts to try and contact the individual at that 858-449-7348 number?
No, because by the time I called the third time, my attitude was, you know what?
Okay, well, I'll just leave it at that. Did you try and contact him?
No, I did not.
Okay, so a total of 3 times?
3 times, yes, sir.
Just for some clarity for all of us, are you familiar with Aurora at all?
Yes, I used to live in Aurora.
Okay, so are you familiar with roughly the Anschutz Medical Campus and that facility on Colfax and 225-ish?
Yes?
Okay, roughly from that area and the 1690 Paris Street address that was on the application, how far away would the Lead Valley Range be from roughly that area of Aurora?
Probably 45 minutes from there to our gate.
Okay. Judge, can I have one moment, please?
Yes.
Nothing additional, Judge.
Any cross-examination, Mr. King?
Perhaps not, but I can have one moment to talk to Ms. Bailey.
Yes.
Questions, thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, after you received the email and application contained in People's Exhibit 539 and 539A, you said that you called up, and I think you said it was within 24 hours or somewhere around there. Is that
Usually,
right?
that's my usual routine. I won't swear that I made it within 24 hours on that one, but my usual routine is within 24 hours from the email, I call somebody.
And you said that you thought it was strange due to the shortage of ranges on the front range, shooting ranges on the front range, that someone didn't call back. Normally, folks call back pretty quick. Is that right?
Yeah, almost, like I said, almost instantly I get phone calls back when I call to say that who I am and why I'm calling them.
In addition to that, you thought that the message that you heard, or the voicemail message, was in itself strange. Isn't that right?
Yes?
The voice was hard to distinguish. Is that fair to say?
That'd be more than fair to say.
Slurred?
The only understandable word that I heard was his name in the very beginning, when it kind of was a slurred names or something, that was there. And everything beyond there was just not distorted, deliberately made indistinguishable, was the way I would describe it.
And you thought that this was bizarre.
Yes, very definitely.
Thank you. No other questions.
Any redirect?
One moment, please. Sir, do you specifically remember the voicemail message?
Yes, I remember hearing it, and I remember what it was like. You can say you can remember it. No, it wasn't memorable. It wasn't distinguishable enough to know it word for word.
Was the voicemail, well, let me ask this. Each of the 3 times that you tried to contact that phone number, did it go to voicemail each time?
Yes, sir.
Did it go to the same voicemail message each time?
Yes, every time.
You may have already testified to this. I apologize if you did. But do you have a recollection of what the timing was between those 3 times you tried to call?
No, I don't have the exact recognition. Normally, I will do it a day apart to call somebody. If I have even that much of a delay, I give people enough time to call me back before I call them again to be a pest.
Okay.
So usually I wait 24 hours before I call again.
To the best of your recollection, sitting here today, can you describe for the jury what the voicemail message specifically said?
No, because I couldn't do that immediately afterwards. Like I said, the only distinguishable word was started off with the slurred James, and from there, it was just unintelligible noises that were basically intended to sound like words that weren't. And it was very much, I remember the first time I heard it, I took the phone and went and looked at the phone because it was so weird.
Okay. And then you heard it 2 additional times?
Yes, sir.
All right. Judge, one moment, please.
Yes.
Right. Nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
Any recross, Mr. King?
No, sir.
Doesn't appear that the jury has any questions. May this witness be released from his subpoena. Mr. Edson,
Yes, Judge. Thank you.
any objection, Mr. King?
No, Your Honor.
All right, sir, thank you. You're
you.
free to go. Call your next witness, please.
Officer Donald Ransom, Your Honor.
Solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do, Your Honor.
All right, please be seated. Please tell us your full name and spell your first and last names.
The full name is Donald Ransom, first of D-O-N-A-L-D, last of Ransom, R-A-N-S-O-M.
Mr. Brockler, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, do me a favor. Scoot in just a little bit there so everyone can hear you, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. Is that better?
That's great. And though it may seem obvious from your outfit, tell us what you do for a living.
I'm a police officer for the Fraser Winter Park Police Department
How long have you been a police officer for Fraser Winter Park?
since May 14th of 2012.
Now, you know that you're here to talk about a traffic stop that you made on July the 2nd, 2012.
Yes, sir.
Prior to that stop, how long had you been doing police work?
The stop was conducted on July 2nd. It started on the 15th of May, so about a month and a half, probably 2 months.
As part of your training to be a police officer, do you have something called a field training officer or a senior person that rides with you, make sure you're not just doing something nuts?
Yes, sir.
Did you have one on July the 2nd?
Yes, sir, I did.
By the time you make the stop that we're going to talk about on July the 2nd, how many traffic stops had you made in your career to that point?
Probably approximate between 15 and 20.
Since that time, how many traffic stops have you made?
Probably over the course of the last 3 years, probably between 100 and 150.
Now, prior to your employment with Fraser Winter Park in May of 2012, did you do anything else law enforcement-wise?
Prior to working with the Fraser Winter Park Police Department, I worked in corrections for the Grand County Jail,
How long did you do that?
about a year and a half.
Okay. Now, I want to take you to July the 2nd, 2012. Do you know what shift you were working then with your FTO?
I was on the day shift from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m.
Now, do you have a specific assignment in terms of an area within Fraser Winter Park, or do you kind of pick where you want to be?
We just kind of drive back and forth, respond to calls within our jurisdiction. But while we're doing routine patrol, it'll just be monitoring traffic from the west end of Fraser all the way out past the Winter Park Resort towards the entrance of the Mary Jane, if anybody's familiar with that area.
Okay. And do me a favor, too. I'm going to ask you to scoot up just a little bit more so we can hear you just a little bit better. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. And it could just be me. I'm old. All right, so The stop that we're going to talk about today, and you're aware of this stop, about what time of day was it?
It was about 2:08 p.m.
Now, tell us what you were doing and where you were going when you decided to make contact with a car I'll ask you about in a minute.
Okay, I was driving with my training officer. We're probably discussing policy and procedure. We were heading eastbound on US Highway 40 at approximately mile marker 231, which is approximately 1 mile west of the Winter Park Resort. Observed a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed.
All right. Now, the direction of travel of that vehicle was westbound?
Yes, sir.
Now, you said mile marker 231. Are you familiar with a buyer's firing range somewhere in the area?
Yes, sir.
Tell us what mile marker that range is at.
It's the buyer's firing range. It is at mile marker 198.
A little more than 30 miles away?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You were going the opposite direction. Were you running radar, laser, something?
Running moving radar.
Okay. What'd you do after you detected this vehicle go by you at a high rate of speed?
Observed the vehicle go by at a high rate of speed. I turned the marked patrol vehicle around and then pulled in behind the vehicle and started following it.
Couple questions about that. Did you ever lose sight of that vehicle?
No, sir.
When you pulled around to catch up to the vehicle, did you notice the vehicle doing anything to try to either accelerate or decelerate from you?
No. Did not appear to be accelerating away from me. It was traveling about approximately the same speed it passed me at.
How close did you get to the vehicle before you acted your overhead lights?
Probably within one vehicle's distance. Pretty standard for a traffic stop.
Okay, and when you did that, what did this vehicle do?
When I activated my overhead lights, the vehicle put on its signal and moved off to the right-hand shoulder of the road.
Couple things about that. First, describe to us the vehicle that you were pulling over at this point.
It was a white Hyundai sedan.
And you said it activated its blinker and pulled over to the side of the road?
Yes, sir.
Was that pretty bizarre?
No.
Is that what you expect?
Yes, sir.
Where this vehicle pulled over, have you pulled other cars over in that same area before?
Yes.
Does this particular area, though, pose a little bit more of a risk to you in terms of getting out and conducting the traffic stop?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about it.
So it's a two-lane highway. There's two lanes headed westbound with a shoulder. It's approximately a vehicle's width from the white line to a concrete barrier. That barrier runs approximately the duration of 3/4 of a mile. Where we conducted the traffic stop was right next to that barrier. And it kind of put my vehicle partly in the number 2 traffic lane. So it's just a officer safety thing. It was probably more or less my fault, and I probably got to hear about it from my FTO afterwards.
Yeah. Now, have you seen cars when you activate your overheads like quickly jerk to the side of the road?
Yes, sir.
Did this one do that?
No.
Have you seen cars like keep driving for seemingly ever before they pull over?
Yes, sir.
Did this one do that?
No.
It pulls over, you pull in behind. How far away are you from it?
Approximately probably one vehicle width or length between the back of his vehicle and the front of mine.
Are you trying to make any observations through your windshield and the back window of that car to see what the driver's doing?
Yeah, I usually try to maintain, or at least a visual of the driver of the vehicle if it's possible.
Did you see any bizarre or unusual behaviors?
No.
So what'd you do?
At that point, I got out of my car and walked up to and contacted the driver.
And was the window down, or did you have to ask the window be put down?
I believe the window was down when I approached.
And you were able to make contact with that driver?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you see the person that you contacted in that vehicle in the courtroom here today?
I do.
Would you tell the jury, please, where that person is sitting and what they're wearing?
He's sitting right over here. He's wearing red glasses, blue button-up shirt, and has facial hair, a beard, and brown hair.
Now, let me ask you about that. Is this the way that he looked back on the day you contacted him at mile marker approximately 2:30?
No, sir.
Describe how he looked differently back then.
His hair color was an unnatural colored red, as if it was dyed. He didn't have any facial hair, and he appeared to be a little thinner than he is now.
You recall if he had glasses on of any kind?
I don't recall if he had glasses on. I don't believe that he did.
You make contact with the person you've identified as the defendant in the car. Tell us about that contact. What do you say to him, and what does he say back to you?
So when I contacted him, I advised him, I introduced myself to him as Officer Ransom with the Fraser Winter Park Police Department. I advised him of the reason why I'd stopped him. I clocked him at 66 and a posted 55. I asked him if there's any specific reason why he was going that fast. When I was speaking with him, when I'd ask him questions, he would look to me and answer the question. And his hands were on the steering wheel, and he was looking straight forward through the windshield. He would, like I said, once I would ask him a question, he would look at me, answer the question, and go back to staring out the windshield.
Couple things about that. Sounds like, first off, this isn't a chatty person. Is that fair?
Correct.
You said you asked him a question about, is there a reason why he was driving that fast? What was his answer back to you?
I believe he said that he didn't realize he was going as fast. He just didn't know that he was driving over the speed limit.
Did you have any trouble understanding the words he spoke to you out on the road that day?
No, sir.
Was it responsive? I mean, you say, hey, you were going fast. He says tuna fish sandwich. Nothing like that?
No, nothing like that.
After he says he didn't realize he was going that fast, how does the rest of the stop move forward?
From that point, when I was approaching the vehicle, it's standard for me to, I believe it's just kind of my own policy, but I usually touch the back of a vehicle to put my fingerprints on the back of a vehicle. I walked up, approached the vehicle, placed my fingerprints on the back. While I was walking up, I could see into the back window. I could see there was a black plastic rifle case in the back.
Can I ask you about that? You said you looked through the back window of the car. Did you notice any heavy window tinting at that time?
No, if it would have been heavy window tinted, I probably wouldn't have seen a black case in the back, sir.
You see that black case, and was there more than one, just the one that you remember?
As far as I can remember, there was just one that I could see from the backs or from the exterior of the vehicle into.
What did you do with that information when you got up to the driver's side window?
I asked the driver what was in the rifle case. He told me there was a rifle. I observed ammunition boxes. I can't recall the caliber, make, model, anything of that. Just remember there was ammunition boxes in the back. I asked him, what's in the black case? He said there was a rifle. I asked him where he was going to, and he explained to me that he was going to the Byers range in Hot Sulphur Springs.
Now, given where you were and your experience in that area, is that all that unusual to hear?
No.
Okay, and you didn't pursue that questioning anymore?
No. From the area, the range is actually, there's two separate parts of the range. One is designated for law enforcement. The other one is open seasonally to all residents of the state of Colorado. It's run and maintained by the Colorado Department of Parks and Wildlife. So for somebody to be coming up to shoot their weapon is not uncommon.
Did you ever ask him for the normal stuff you do at a traffic stop? And forgive me, license, all that stuff.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and what did you ask for specifically?
I asked for his driver's license, his registration, and his insurance.
Tell us about his ability to give you those documents you requested.
He did provide me his driver's license from his wallet. I then took and he showed me his registration for the vehicle. I don't recall if he did get me the insurance. I know that in my report there's two different ways that it said. One says that I did observe it. Another report or statement I'd given to the FBI says that he never provided it to me. I don't recall if he ever did or not. But he provided me with his driver's license and the registration of the vehicle. At that point, I went back to my vehicle and relayed his information to our dispatch.
Hang on one sec. I want to back up now. When you asked for license, registration, proof of insurance, you talked about don't remember what he did with the insurance. That's fair.
Yes.
But he didn't try to hand you some other document like a menu or a receipt from
Correct.
something he purchased. He handed you the documents you asked for?
Yes, sir.
You headed back to the back of the vehicle, and what'd you do?
Once I got back to my vehicle, I relayed his information to our dispatch to be cleared through CCIC and CIC. What that is we're checking the validity of his driver's license and his driving status in the state of Colorado, as well as if he has any open wants or warrants for his arrest.
After you check that, do you then go back up to the front of the car?
Yeah. After I checked it, I went ahead and filled out what we call is a field interview card. If we don't issue a citation or a summons, what I'll do is a field interview card. It's just gets all the information for the driver so I can put it into our system as we have contacted him on a field interview. So after I got that information, I did respond back up to the vehicle.
And what'd you do?
I gave him his driver's license back. I I don't think I had business cards at the time. Like I said, I was still in training, so I think I may have given him either just a standardized police department business card or my training officer's business card. That was the practice at the time. Advised him, in the state of Colorado, I'm required to provide a business card if not to write a ticket, so you know the officer in which you had contact with. Gave him his information and his driver's license back. And from that point, I released him from the traffic stop. I told him, have a nice, safe day.
Now, you didn't write a ticket to him?
No, sir.
Just a warning?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you about the hair?
Yes, sir.
Describe that color for us again.
It was a bright red. If you look up here at the Colorado courts,
Yeah.
it's about the same color as the sea.
Okay. Now, in your time up there in Winter Park and Fraser driving around, that's the only time you've ever seen someone with their hair colored?
No.
What else have you seen that's like that?
I just see different trends with younger kids. See different color hair all the time. It's not uncommon to see somebody with, drastically dyed hair. Females usually do like a bright purple or something like that, and some of the males will usually do like a really light color. But it's not uncommon for me to see, really bright colored hair on somebody unnaturally dyed.
Other than the hair color that you described, was there anything that you would describe about the traffic stop, start to stop, that was bizarre,
No, sir.
normal?
Normal. Like I said, everybody reacts differently on traffic stops. Everybody gets stopped by the police reacts differently. Some people are extremely nervous. Some people are argumentative. Some people are cooperative and explain, I know that I was speeding. I see all these different ways that people act on traffic stops. So based off the totality of all the traffic stops I have from this point back to when I started, I would say nothing about his traffic stop stood out as odd.
You have a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
There's probably two things that I didn't ask you. One was there anyone else in the car with the defendant when you pulled him over that day?
No, sir.
The final thing I want to ask you is, you tell him, be safe at the range, and you're letting him go. Does he say anything in response to you?
I believe he acknowledged and said thanks, and I walked back to my vehicle and he left.
And that was the last time you ever saw him before today?
Yes, sir.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Judge, objection to that's before today. I don't think there's been an identification.
Would counsel approach, please? The objection has been withdrawn. Any cross-examination?
One question. I think you said this, officer, but you had your radar on when you saw this vehicle traveling in the other direction. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you know the rate of speed that it was traveling at?
Yes, sir.
66 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour zone, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. No other questions.
The jury does not appear to have any questions. I'm assuming there's no redirect, Mr. Brackler.
No, sir. Thank you.
All right, and the jury doesn't seem to have any questions either. So may this witness be released from his subpoena, Mr. Brackler? Do you have any objection to that, Mr. King?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Please call your next witness.
The people call Agent Scott Eicher.
You solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
There you go.
Please be seated.
Thank you.
Please tell us your full name and spell your first and last names.
My first name is Scott. Last name is Eicher. It's Eicher.
And how do you spell your first name?
Scott.
Thank you. Ms. Pearson, you may proceed.
Agent Eicher, how are you employed?
I'm a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
What does that mean that you do?
I am a law enforcement officer for the FBI and the federal government.
Prior to working with the FBI, did you work in law enforcement elsewhere?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I was a police officer in Norfolk, Virginia for 12 years before I joined the FBI.
And when did you join the FBI?
In 1996,
What are your current duties with the FBI involve?
I am assigned to the violent crime section of the FBI, but more specifically, I'm assigned to the FBI's Cellular Analysis Survey Team. That's long for CAST, part of the FBI's CAST team, and have been for the last 7 years.
What does the CAST team do?
We are special agents that are trained in the historical analysis of call detail records for cell phones, and we're trained in how the cellular network works, how to track phones both historically and live.
Do you work nationwide on cases with the
I
FBI?
do.
Yes. Okay, the ruling on the objection is deferred. Sir, we're going to have you step down so that the parties can look for some documentation. In the meantime, the prosecution is going to call a different witness. So you'll be subject to recall later today, okay?
Thank you, Your
All
Honor.
right, thank you. Ms. Stitch McGuire, do you want to call your next witness?
Are the people called Jennifer Avila Arredondo?
Good afternoon. Could I have you raise your right hand so I can administer an oath? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please be seated. Could you please tell us your full name and spell your first, middle, and last names?
Okay, my name is Jennifer Christine Avila Arredondo, and my first name is spelled Jennifer. My middle name is spelled Kristine, and then my last name is Avila and Arredondo.
Thank you. Ms. Stitch McGuire, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Were you at the Century 16 movie theater in Aurora, Colorado on July 19th of 2012?
Yes,
And did that go into the early morning of July 20th of 2012?
yes.
Could you please tell the jury about what you remember about the day of July 19th prior to going to the movies that night?
Okay, yeah. I remember going out to eat at Village Inn with my friends, and then we bought our tickets in advance, and then we went back to my apartment and waited for the movie to start.
Do you remember where you bought your tickets?
I think we bought them at the theater.
And was that earlier that day?
Yeah.
Do you recall
Yes.
the time?
No, I don't remember what time anymore.
And then at some point in time, did you make your way to the movie theater?
Yes.
Okay. And at what time was that?
It was probably about 10:30, I would
PM?
say. Yeah, 10:30 p.m., yes.
You had some other really early goers, so I wanted to make sure it was
No.
PM. And do you remember where you parked when you got to the theater?
Yes.
And where was that?
It was probably, let me think, northwest parking lot.
And do you recall who drove to the theater that night?
I drove.
And who was in your car?
Just me and my husband.
And were you going to the movies with anyone else that day?
Yes.
Who else were you going to the movies
We
with?
were going with my friends. Her name is Kirsten Davis, Eugene Hahn, and Jonathan Luke Priest.
Did you meet them at the movie theater?
Yes.
And when did you meet up with them at the movie theater?
At the time that we went.
So did you guys meet together outside the theater? Or did you go in the theater together?
We just kind of walked in together.
Did you have to wait in line or anything?
No, because we bought our tickets already.
Do you remember if you went to the concession stand or did anything before you went into the movie theater?
I did not.
Do you know if your friends did?
They did after we sat down for a little bit.
So did you first all walk in together and choose your seats?
Yes.
Okay, and do you recall what movie theater number you went into?
It was Theater 9.
And how did you go about choosing your seats?
It was already full, so we just chose the place that had 5 seats open.
And where was that?
It was about 3 rows when it starts going up, when the seats start going up.
And do you recall if that's the movie theater screen right there, do you recall if you were on the right side or the left side?
We were on the right side.
And do you recall the order in which you were sitting?
Our friend Luke was sitting on the aisle seat, and then Eugene was sitting next to him, and then my friend Kirsten, and then I was sitting on her left, and then my husband was to my left.
And what did you do while you were waiting for the movie to begin?
Just talk,
Did you ever leave the theater at any point in time?
just to go to the bathroom. We were
Anything
there
else?
a long time, so.
Do you recall anything unusual at all happening in the theater while you were waiting for the movie to begin?
No.
Now, do you recall closer to the time the movie was going to start how full the movie theater was that night?
It was packed. Probably every seat was filled.
So at some point in time, were there previews before your movie began?
Of course, yes.
And at some point in time, did your movie actually begin?
Yes.
Do you recall anything happening when your movie began, after your movie began?
Not right when it began, maybe 10 minutes later.
And what happened 10 minutes later?
The first thing I heard was an explosion, what sounded like an explosion. And then after that, you could see gunfire.
Now, could you describe for the jury what you saw in terms of you saying you saw gunfire? What do you
It
mean
just
by
looks like flashes of light
that? And where did you see the flashes of light coming from in the theater?
from directly in front of me to the right of the movie screen.
And then what do you remember happening after that?
I just got down on the ground and waited it out.
And do you recall what your friends did at that point in time?
Yes, they both got on the ground. I mean, they all got on the ground too.
Okay, now how was your body positioned when you were on the ground?
I was laying on my back.
And do you recall what your husband's body's position was at that point in time?
He was just covering the lower half of my body.
And could you tell the jury who your husband is?
My husband is Adan Avila.
Now, while you were down on the ground and Adon's partially covering you, what do you recall happening around you?
I remember the sound of the gunshots, and I could hear the movie still playing. And then we had a water bottle that was in a cup holder, and it exploded, so we got all wet.
And do you hear anything else going on in the theater?
No,
Okay.
it was pretty loud, so.
And have you ever heard gunshots before?
Like on TV, but
Had you ever gone hunting before?
yes, my dad took me hunting once.
Was what you heard in the theater that night consistent with what you had heard before when you were hunting?
Yes.
So you're hearing gunshots, it's very loud. Are you hearing any screaming?
Maybe at first, but after a while it got quiet.
And what do you notice is happening around you? Can you see Luke? Can you see?
I couldn't see anything. It was completely dark.
And what do you remember happening after you're down on the ground hearing gunshots?
I just heard my friend Eugene tell us to get up, so we all got up.
And what happened when you got up?
We just proceeded to go down to the emergency exit, and we got out.
Now, at any point in time, had you noticed if you had been injured?
No.
And what happened when you got to the emergency exit?
We couldn't find the door because we were all panicked, so we were just slamming for it, and then we pushed it open so hard that we all fell on the concrete outside.
And when you say we all, who is with you at that point in time?
My friends, and then there was, I think, 3 other people that had seen us, and they followed us out.
And who were your friends?
Oh, sorry. Jonathan Luke Priest, Kirsten Davis, and Eugene Hahn.
And what about your husband?
And my husband, Adan Avila.
So after you get to that exit and then you all fall down, what do you remember happening after that?
I just got up, and we all got up.
Could you tell at that point in time if any of your friends had been injured?
No.
And so after you all got up, what do you remember happening after that?
So after we got up and started moving, then I noticed that Eugene was limping. And then I looked back and I saw that my husband was injured.
And what could you see at that point in time about your husband's injuries?
It was pretty obvious, a bloodied leg,
And which leg was it?
his right leg.
So how did you go about getting out once you were outside the theater?
So our friend Luke, Jonathan Luke, he helped my husband. And then the other man that had come out with us, I don't know his name, but he helped my husband too.
And why did they have to help your husband?
Because he couldn't walk.
So did they kind of support him? Like, did your husband have his
Kind of like
arms?
under the shoulder type thing.
And where did they take your husband?
We followed the sidewalk all the way until it went to a corner.
What happened when you got to the corner?
We laid him down, and then we just waited for an ambulance to show up.
Were you able to observe your husband's injuries at that point in time?
Yes.
Was it light enough so that you could see your husband's injuries?
Yes.
And what could you notice at that point in time?
That it was bleeding pretty heavily.
Could you notice anything about the condition of the leg?
Yes.
What could you see?
That it was blown apart.
Now, at that point in time, did you notice any injuries on you?
No.
Okay. What about on your friend Casey or Kirsten Hahn?
No.
What about Eugene Hahn?
Yes.
What could you notice about Eugene?
I just noticed that he was laying on his stomach, and there was blood on him.
And what about your friend Luke Priest?
No.
So while you're waiting on this sidewalk, What do you observe?
It was kind of empty at the back of the theater at first because not many people had come out that way. But the people that came out with us, the wife was injured, and she was kind of just sitting against the wall. She looked like she was ready to pass out. And then after a while, some police officers showed up.
And at any point in time, is anyone trying to help your husband with any medical care?
Yes.
What did you observe?
A woman came up and said that she was a nurse from Florida or something like that, and she came and helped him. So she just took my shirt and put it on his leg.
And at some point in time, did medical attention arrive for your husband?
Yes.
And what happened at that time?
An ambulance drove up and they parked on Sable Boulevard. It was across a patch of grass. And then they just came up and put him on a stretcher and carried him over to the ambulance and drove away.
Did you get to go with him?
No.
Did you find out where he had gone?
No.
So what did you do?
I wandered around the parking lot.
Did you observe anything? Did you see any other injured victims when you were walking around the parking lot?
I didn't see anyone injured because we had been at the back for so long that all the injured people were gone by now. I just saw a lot of people crying, and that was about it.
And when you were in the back and you said the other injured people had gone, did you have an opportunity to observe other injured victims when you were at the back of the theater?
Just that woman and Eugene.
Now, where did you end up going to try to find your husband?
First, I ended up going to a gas station, and then
Why'd you do that?
because I didn't know how to get to Denver Health. I just assumed that Denver Health would be a good place to go look. But yeah, the guy kind of helped, but he looked like he was scared of me more than anything
And why was he scared of you?
because I was covered in
Sustained.
blood.
Sustained.
So eventually, did you make it to a hospital?
Yes,
What hospital did you make it to?
I went to Denver Health first.
And did you find your husband there?
No.
Did you have to go to another location?
Yes.
What hospital did you have to go
I
to?
went to Swedish Medical Center.
What happened when you got to Swedish Medical Center?
There was a woman there and she was waiting for me and she took me through security and then I went to a waiting room where his family already was.
When you say his family, whose family are you talking about?
My husband's family.
So this is Adon Avila's.
Ivan's family, yes.
And what did you find out when you got there?
I found out that he was just getting out of surgery.
Did they tell you what the surgery was for?
I don't think so.
Were you able to see your husband after he got out of surgery?
Yes.
What did you notice about your husband after you saw him?
His leg was bandaged.
Anything else?
Just he was attached to IVs and, I don't know, typical after surgery.
All right, Ms. Tish McGuire, sustained.
Okay.
Move on.
Thank you, Your Honor. So at any point in time, did you have to seek medical care?
I noticed that there was like something sharp in my head, so I had one of the nurses check it out while I was there.
What did the nurses find?
She said that it was shrapnel.
What happened with the shrapnel in your head?
It just fell out over time.
Now, Your Honor, if I may approach with what has been marked as People's Exhibit 1105.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you recognize that?
Yes,
What is that?
it is a diagram of the theater.
Right. And who drew it?
Me.
Okay. Does it fairly and accurately represent where you believe you were placed in the theater on July 19th and July 20th of 2012?
Yes.
Okay. And does it also depict an area where you believe you saw flashes in the
Yes.
theater? Your Honor, at this time I would move for admission of that exhibit.
Any objection?
Probably not, but you probably should look at it first.
I
Why
apologize.
don't you show it to Mr. King, please? Members of the jury, just a reminder, when I sustain objections, you're to disregard any answer that is provided, whether it's a partial answer or a full answer. And so you have to treat it as though you never heard it. Similarly, if at any point I strike an answer, you may hear somebody ask me to strike something, or I may say that's stricken. If I strike an answer, or I strike a statement, it means that you must disregard it, and you must treat it as though you never heard it, okay? And everyone's nodding their head yes. All right, Ms. Tish McGuire, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would move for admission of that exhibit, Your Honor.
Do you have any objection to P-TR-1105?
No.
With that objection, that exhibit is admitted and may be published.
Thank you, Your Honor. I could please have that exhibit. I'm going to ask you to take that cordless microphone that is next to you there.
Okay.
All right, and then there is a pointer behind you as well, that long stick. All right, and if you could show the jury on the diagram where you were seated that night. Oh, can you turn it on? Try one more time.
Hello. Okay. So this is about the general area that we were sitting. That's L for Luke, E for Eugene, K for Kirsten, J for Jennifer, that's me, and then A for Adan.
And were you able to notice anyone else who sat in your same row?
Yeah, I noticed the little girl named Veronica was sitting somewhere over here.
And when you labeled, can you show the jury where you labeled flashes of gunfire?
Yes, down here.
Were you ever able to actually see a person in the theater?
I could see like the outline of a gas mask, but I wouldn't be able to recognize who that person was.
But you recall someone wearing a gas mask at the
Yes.
Okay. And were you able to notice anything else about that individual?
No.
Okay. And did you actually see flashes of light from that part of the theater?
Yes.
Okay. And can you show the jury where you guys entered the theater?
Yeah, we entered through a passageway that goes down here.
And then can you show the jury how you exited the theater?
Yes, there's an emergency exit right here.
And did you go out that exit and around the theater?
Yes, that way.
All right, thank you very much. You can have a seat. Honor, if I may approach with what has been marked as People's Exhibit 4518.
Yes.
Right, I'm handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 4518. Could you please look at that document and tell me if you recognize it?
Yes, I recognize it.
What is it?
It's his leg, my husband's leg.
Okay, and was that taken on July 20th of 2012?
Yes, it was.
Were you present during the time that was taken?
Yes, I was.
Does it fairly and accurately represent the condition of your husband's leg on July 20th of 2012?
Yes, it does.
Honor, at this time I would move for admission of that exhibit.
Is there any objection to People's Exhibit P-TR-4518?
No additional objections.
All right, so there being no additional objection for the reasons previously stated in Order D-98-B, the exhibit is admitted and may be published.
I could please have that exhibit. Right. Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Oh, hold on, ma'am.
Oh.
He may have some questions for
Sorry.
you, and the jury may have some questions as well. I'm not sure if 4518 was subject of motion D-98-B. Do you know, Mr. King or Ms. Tish McGuire?
You know, Your Honor, I'm not positive if
All
it
right,
was
to
or if
the
it wasn't.
extent that it was, then I have ruled. To the extent that it wasn't, my ruling with respect to other photographs applies to this one, and my reasoning applies. And so to the extent that the objection is the same as the objection addressed in that order, the objection is overruled, and Mr. King is indicating there are no additional objections at this time. So under Rule 403, I'm finding it's admissible. Mr. King, do you have any cross-examination?
No, thank you.
It appears that the jury has a question, so could you give us a moment, please, ma'am?
Sure.
right, would council please approach? Ma'am, the jury has submitted some questions, and based on the rules of evidence and other applicable rules of law, I have concluded that they are appropriate, and so I am going to ask you these questions now. The first question is, had the shooter left the theater before you and your friends exited?
No.
The next question is, where was the shooter when you ran out of the theater, if you know?
He was in the hallway that we entered from.
The next question is, was he still shooting, if you know?
No.
Any follow-up questions based on those questions, Ms. Tish McGuire?
That's for her. When you just answered no, was that because you didn't know or because he wasn't shooting?
If he was shooting, he probably would have shot me because I was right in his line of sight.
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions from you, Mr. King?
No.
May this witness be released from our subpoena?
Please, thank you, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. King?
None.
All right, ma'am, thank you. You may call your next witness, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people call Adon Avila.
Could I have you raise your right hand so I can administer an oath? You solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. All right, please be seated. Please tell us your full name and spell your first, middle, and last names.
Adan Avila Arredondo, that's Adan Avila Arredondo.
Ms. Tish McGuire, you may proceed.
Thank you. Were you at the Century 16 movie theater on July 19th of 2012 in Aurora, Colorado?
Yes,
And did that go into the early morning of July 20th of 2012?
yes.
Could you please tell the jury about what you remember about the day of July 19th prior to going to the movie theater that day?
Going out to get some food.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to move the microphone closer to your mouth, please, so that we can all hear you.
Okay. We went out to eat a meal before we went to the theater.
And when you say we, who is that?
Casey, Eugene, Jennifer, and Jonathan.
And do you know their last names?
Yes, Eugene Hahn, Casey, her name's Kirsten Davis, Jennifer Avila, and then Jonathan Luke Priest.
And do you recall how you got your tickets to the movie theater that day?
I don't remember.
Okay. And did you plan to go see a movie that night?
Yes.
What movie did you go plan to see?
Batman.
At some point in time, did you make your way to the theater?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall how you got there?
Yes, we drove there.
Do you remember who drove?
Jennifer.
And when you got to the movie theater, what'd you do?
We went inside the room, the theater, and we found some seats.
Do you recall what theater number you went into?
9.
And how'd you go about choosing your seats?
We were looking for the one that had enough seats together for my friends and I.
Where were you able to find those seats?
On the middle area.
So if there is like raised stadium seating in the theater, were you up in that raised stadium seating area?
Yes.
And do you recall about how many rows up you were?
I don't.
And if this is the movie theater screen and you're looking at it, are you closer to the right side or are you closer to the left?
Closer to the right side.
And do you recall how you were seated?
Yes. Closest to the right was Jonathan, Luke, then Eugene, then Kirsten, and then my wife and I.
And what'd you do while you were waiting for the movie to begin?
We were just talking.
Did you ever leave the theater at any point in time?
I didn't.
Did you ever recall seeing anything unusual happen in the movie theater while you were waiting for the movie to begin?
No.
At some point in time, did previews begin for the movie?
Yes.
And then did your movie actually begin?
Yes.
What happened when your movie was playing?
A couple minutes after the movie started, I saw an object fly across the screen, and I followed it, and it exploded.
And when you say across the screen, from what direction to what direction did you see this object?
From the right side of the screen to the left.
Could you tell what the object was at the time?
I did not.
Okay. And when you said it exploded, what was that? What did that mean to you in the theater?
It made a loud explosion sound, and I could smell something from it.
And what sort of thing could you smell?
I don't know how to describe it. Just something I haven't smelled before.
What do you remember happening after you see that canister?
I looked back where the object flew from, and I started seeing flashes of light.
And where do you see those flashes of light?
The right side of the screen.
What do you remember after seeing the flashes of light?
After that, I just remember getting down on the ground.
And do you recall how your body was placed when you got down on the ground?
Facing down.
And how were your friends' bodies placed at the time?
I don't know.
Do you recall how your wife's body was placed?
Facing out.
And do you recall if you were on top of her at all?
Yes.
Okay. What do you remember while you were down on the ground?
I remember hearing screaming and loud noises. I would imagine the gun. And just smelling the gunpowder, and that's it.
Now, at any point in time, did you hear your wife say anything to you about what happened to her?
Yes. I believe she said I got shot in the head.
Now, could you see the injuries of anyone else around you?
No.
So while you're down on the ground, you're hearing all of these things. What are you thinking?
I don't want to die.
Can you say that again?
I don't want to die.
So what do you remember after that when you're down on the ground?
After that, while I was in the ground, I remember getting shot. I don't know where. I just felt pressure in my entire body, and I started getting really hot.
Did you do or say anything as a result of getting shot at that point in time?
No, I kept quiet because if he were to go up the stairs, I wanted to pretend like I was dead.
What do you remember doing after that?
Once Eugene said, "Let's get up," and we got up, and I took a step, and I completely collapsed.
And where were you when you completely collapsed? Was this in your same aisle?
Yes, in the same aisle right in front of my seat.
Did you tell why you were collapsing at that point in time?
Yes, I collapsed because my leg was shot. I looked at it, and I knew it got shot there, so I thought my bone was just broken.
So what'd you do after you collapsed to the ground?
I pulled myself up with my arms and started hopping on my left leg.
And were you able to get out of your row while you were doing that?
Yes.
Okay. And how were you able to get out of the theater?
Like I said, I hopped down. I was grabbing the side bars that are down the stairs, and then we looked for the emergency exit in the back.
Were you able to find it?
Yes.
Okay. What happened when you got to that area of the theater?
After we got out of the emergency exit, I fell down and I couldn't get up.
Were you able to ever get the assistance of anyone to get up?
Yes, my friend Jonathan Luke helped me, and a stranger that came out of the theater with us helped me as well.
Where did they take you?
They took me to the end of the building.
And what happened when you got to the end of the building?
I collapsed again and I couldn't get up.
Could you see at that point in time your injuries?
Yes.
What could you observe?
That a large portion of my leg was missing.
Did you notice anything else at that point in time?
No.
Could you tell if you had been injured in any other locations at that point in time?
Okay. Yes, I felt like my back was burning, and I was thinking that I'd been shot in my back as well.
Now, what happened while you were out on that sidewalk? Do you recall if anyone came to assist you?
Yes, there was a lady, I don't recall her name, she said she was a nurse, and she took my wife's shirt and wrapped it around my leg
And why was she doing that?
to try to stop the bleeding.
Now, at any point in time, did any medical personnel come to assist you?
Yes, eventually a fireman, paramedics came and took me away.
Now, with your permission, Your Honor, if I could show Mr. Avila this model, and if he could take the cordless microphone and we could show the jury.
Sure. Cordless microphone right there. You have to turn it on. Make sure that you speak into it, and you can step down and go to the model.
All right, and if you could just come stand on this other side for me. Can everybody in the jury see? Okay. So, Mr. Avila, if you could first describe for the jury where it was that you entered the theater that night.
I entered from this area.
Okay, and how did you go about picking your seats? If you could kind of show them the path.
We went up here, and this general area is where we found the seats.
All right, and Your Honor, if the record could reflect that the witness has pointed to the right side of the diagram, he's talking about coming through that right entrance from the main lobby and going up the stairs, and he says it's an area that could be the 4th row to the 7th row of the stadium seating.
Okay.
Now, could you tell the jury about where your seats were in the order of where you were seated?
Yeah, it was Luke, Eugene, Kirsten, Jennifer, and then myself.
And was Luke on the very edge of the aisle?
Yes, he was.
All right. And then could you please describe for the jury the area where you saw the flashes and point that area out to the jury?
The right side.
Okay. And at any point in time, did you ever see the shooter?
Only when there was flashing.
All right. And what did you see?
Just a body
Right. And where was that you saw that?
in this area.
Okay. Now, after you were down here, could you please just show for the jury where you were when you collapsed, when the first time you tried to get up?
Right here.
Okay. And then can you tell the jury about your exit path?
I hopped down this way, grabbed the side of the area right there, and went out to exit that way.
And again, Your Honor, this witness has talked about the stairs that go down on the right side of the theater if you're facing the movie theater screen, and he pointed out to an exit that goes out here. Now, could you please describe for the jury where you were when you collapsed a second time?
When I collapsed, I was about 5 feet ahead of the door.
All right, so were you actually outside the door
Yes.
or were you inside the door?
I was outside the door.
All right, and then could you also describe for the jury where it was that those people took you, who helped you walk?
The people that helped me, they helped me around this area, and they helped me hop to the end of the building, which is roughly around right here.
All right, and Your Honor, if the record will reflect that the witness has gone out the exit door that goes behind the theater and has walked to the end of the diagram, end of the sidewalk that's depicted in the diagram.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. I have no further questions at this time. For the diagram, you can take your seat. I have some more questions. Were you transported to a hospital at some point in time?
Yes.
Okay. What hospital were you transported to?
Swedish.
What happened when you got to Swedish?
They took me into the emergency room, and they carried me away to another room where they were saying they're going to take care of me.
How long were you there before they treated you?
I'd say about 5 minutes before they make me go to sleep.
All right. And did they take you into surgery?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know how long that surgery was?
I don't.
Okay. What's the next thing you remember after that surgery?
Waking up in a room full of beds and calling for, there was a nurse. That's all I remember.
Right. And did you learn that you had been in surgery?
Yes.
And what had they worked on?
I know they worked on my leg. I don't know what they did.
And when did the doctors tell you what had happened to you?
Probably the following day. I think I fell asleep again. I fell asleep again.
Do you recall if you had to have another surgery after your first surgery?
Yes.
And what was that second surgery about?
Counsel, please approach. All right, the objection is overruled, but Ms. Tisch-McGuire, you must proceed as outlined here at the bench.
All right, Mr. Avila, did you eventually learn that your leg was going to have to be amputated?
Yes.
Okay, and when did you learn that?
After they tried multiple ways to try to fix my leg, and they failed.
Do you know how long it was after the shooting that they had to amputate your leg?
Several days, I don't recall.
And did you have any other wounds that you sustained in addition to your leg injuries?
Yes, I had shrapnel across my back and then a bullet wound to the right of my arm.
And do you recall where the bullet wound went in your arm?
It was in and out exit wound.
Okay, and do you know where it went in and where it went out?
Just the tricep.
Okay. And was that the entrance or the exit location or both?
Both.
Your Honor, if I may approach the witness with what's been marked as People's Exhibit 260 and 261?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you recognize those documents?
Yes.
Who's the person in them?
Me.
All right, and do they reflect your condition at the hospital after the shooting on July 20th of 2012?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I would move for the admission of those exhibits.
Any objection, Mr. King? No. Without objection, those exhibits are admitted and may be published, and again, those are P-TR-260 and 261.
Thank you, Your Honor. I could have the... Looks like we're having a technical difficulty. Perhaps, Your Honor, I could ask some other questions and then come back to publish those exhibits at the end.
That's fine.
Thank you, Your Honor. I could also approach the witness with what's been marked as People's Exhibit 1104?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
And what is that document?
A drawing of the theater.
Right, and who drew it?
Me.
Does it fairly and accurately represent where you believe you were seated in the theater and what you observed in the theater on July 20th of 2012?
Yes.
All right, this time I would move for the admission of that exhibit.
Any objection, Mr. King?
No, Your Honor.
Without objection, Exhibit 1104 is admitted and may be published if you can.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right. Now, if you could grab that cordless microphone again, please. And there's a stick behind you. If you could please describe for the jury where it was that you were seated.
Okay. Judge, I'm going to object at this time as cumulative to the
Sustained.
testimony.
That's sustained.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. You can have a seat. You're good. Thanks. Okay. Your Honor, given the technical difficulties, which I apologize, could we publish those photographs to the jury? Just the actual photographs? Could I hand them to the jury?
Can I see those photographs? Ms. Tisch-McGuire, I think it would be faster if we take a break, see if we can figure out the technical difficulties, and then you can publish them after the break, maybe.
All right, Your Honor, could I maybe see if we could use our Elmo, perhaps?
Sure.
And then that may work as well?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Do it the old-fashioned way.
Thanks. Can we use the Elmo? All right, and all right, could you please describe for the jury what we see in this photograph?
That's me laying down in the hospital bed.
All right, and what arm is being pictured in that photograph?
My left arm.
Okay, and what happened to your left arm there?
A bullet wound.
All right. If I could have the next exhibit, please. All right, and what does that picture show?
My right leg.
Okay, and is that how it looked right after the shooting on July 20th of 2012 after your surgery, your initial surgery?
It's covered up, but yes, that's it.
All right, does your leg look like that today?
No.
Okay. What did you have to have as a result of the shooting? Your leg?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
And did you have to have, after you got your first prosthetic device, did you have to have a subsequent surgery to get another prosthetic device?
Not yet.
Okay. How many prosthetic devices have you had total so far?
I believe 2.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time I would ask permission to have Mr. Avila approach to show the jury his leg.
Any objection, Mr. King?
Yes, Judge.
All right, why don't you approach, please? that request is granted.
All right, Mr. Avila, if I could have you take that cordless microphone with you, and then if you could come stand right here. If you could please show the jury your leg. All right, thank you very much. I have no further questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. King, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
And it looks like the jury may have some questions for you, so I'm going to ask you to wait for just a moment, please. Thank you. Would counsel please approach? First, we have a correction. The people's exhibits that were admitted as 260 and 261 are 2660 and 2661, not 260 and 261. Then I have some questions that the jury has submitted, sir, and based on the rules of evidence and other applicable rules of law, I have concluded that they are appropriate. The first question is, was the shooter in the theater when you were exiting the theater, if you know?
I don't know.
The next question is, when you were exiting, where was he, if you know?
I don't know.
Next question, was he still shooting at the time, if you know?
I don't know.
And then finally, do you know if he came outside behind you? Again, if you know.
I don't know.
Any follow-up questions based on those questions, Ms. Tish McGuire?
Have a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Mr. Avila, do you have any idea if the defendant's weapon had jammed at that point in time?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
Sustained. You can rephrase the question if you want, Ms. Tish McGuire.
Do you know if there had been shooting that had happened prior to you leaving the theater? Could you hear gunshots?
Yes.
At any point in time, did the gunshots stop?
Yes.
Did you hear gunshots start again?
I don't know.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Any follow-up questions from you, Mr. King?
No, thank you.
All right. May this witness be released from his subpoena?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
No
Any
objection.
objection? Okay, without objection, sir, you're released. Thank you. Members of the jury, let's go ahead and take our afternoon break at this time. We'll take 20 minutes. Please remember all my admonitions during the break. They all continue to apply. They all continue to be mandatory, and each and every one of you is bound by them. Enjoy the break. I'll see you back here in 20 minutes. To reflect that the jury has exited the courtroom, everyone may be seated. Ms. Pearson, were you able to find the document you were looking for, or are you still working on that?
We're still working on it, Your Honor.
Okay, let's take a break and then we'll see where you are after the break. The court will be in recess. Thank you.